Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates. As I talked about in a previous video today, the community transmission regarding the squad system did arrive tonight, and it does contain quite a lot of details actually, because it goes into specifics on exactly how the new squad system will work, including some other details from Ben on Twitter regarding other community transmissions and features coming to the game. If we start off with the actual community transmission, he does start off with a glossary that brings up the different terms within the squad system that I thought I might as well go through just so that you guys understand exactly what I'm talking about. First of all, we have the game groups. These are formed within the social hub menu on Battlefront 2, so these are actually within the game, like when I'm streaming and you see me invite people within the game and not actually in Origin. And then we have squads. These are groups of 4 players that enter the game mode together, and I'm assuming these are gonna work fairly similarly to how it is in Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 1 right now. And then we have the platform party. These are the groups that are formed outside of Battlefront 2 as a part of your platform of choice. We should highlight that there is no connection between the platform party and the game groups. There is one exception, and this occurs on PlayStation 4, where players can create a game group outside of the game with the play together feature. I have to say that I'm a bit confused on this, because I have done one PlayStation and one Xbox stream the last few months, and yeah, it's a bit confusing on how exactly the party works outside of the game and inside of the game, because as you probably know, I play on PC and you cannot create a party outside of the game, but all the parties are created within the game as in the game groups that they mention here. But nevertheless, I will be going through exactly how it works here, and hopefully you will understand based on which platform you play on. So moving on to the forming a group part. If you're already playing with a group of friends as either a game group or a platform party, you will be placed together into a squad. If your numbers are less than 4, then random players or other groups will fill up your squad. However, if you join up a game of your own, you will be placed into a random squad. Squad persists between rounds on the same map. However, new squads are formed when switching maps. When new squads are formed, you will always be put into one with the members of your game group. But if your group consists of less than 4 people, then random people or other game groups that make up your squad can change. If you join a game group late and they are already in a game, you will join the squad if there is space. If there is no space in that squad, then you will join a random squad until the maps are switched. At this point, you will join the squad with your game group. It's a little bit unclear here on what exactly happens if you decide to make a party that is more than 4 players, such as on PC for instance. I can currently make a party that has basically unlimited size, so I can make a party with 20 people in it and queue for Galactic Assault. And I'm not entirely sure if that will be blocked as of right now, or if we will just be ending up in different squads or not. But this is the important part regarding the spawn system. When you are defeated, you will have the ability to toggle through a spectator camera. The camera will then be focused on one of your squad members, and you will have the ability to spawn directly onto them. If you want to spawn a different squad member, simply toggle through the spectator camera until you find a squad member of your choosing. So it's very similar to how it currently works in the Battlefield 5 alpha and in many of the Battlefield games overall. The ability to spawn directly on your squad will be limited to 2 modes in the beginning: Galactic Assault and Strike. And the reason for that is simply balancing. In Galactic Assault, it's a large game mode, so it will probably not affect the balance too much. But I could imagine that if they would have added something similar to something like heroes versus villains, it could probably have some issues, since you would literally play squad versus squad, and the squad system could probably be abused. But they do say in the community transmission that the reason to why they're doing it in Strike is simply to test the new spawn system on smaller modes, and if it works well, they could expand into the other small modes such as Blast and maybe even heroes versus villains, who knows. And now we're getting to some really interesting stuff, because under the 2 versus 2 section, it actually says joining a 2 versus 2 game mode such as Hero Showdown while in a 4-player group will enable you to play a private match. And this is actually quite unclear, because a private match in the previous game meant that you had full control over the length, the map, the rules and so on. But what I get from this is basically that if you queue up with 4 people into Hero Showdown, you will do a 2 versus 2 with people within your squad. I'm not sure if you will actually have control of which 2 face off against which 2, but nevertheless it's at least one way to get a controlled match. So if you actually want to do a proper 2 versus 2, squad up with 4 people, queue for Hero Showdown, and if you don't get the right team sorted, simply re-queue again. That's my guess, but we don't have any more specific details on how those so-called private matches will work. As for voice chat, it will be turned off for any 4-player squads that have been formed randomly, and I have to say that I appreciate that, because usually voice chat with random people don't turn out too well. But if you play with friends, you will be able to enable voice chat either through your platform system or by using the built-in Battlefront 2 option. And lastly, in the community transmission, we've got some details about ongoing adjustments to the system. And due to the online nature of this feature, we want to highlight that once it goes live, there is a possibility that we will be adjusting things within the live environment. We have built in back-end timers that will affect the length of Galactic Assault objectives, just in case we see certain phases in a map being easily exploitable by either side. And for further balancing, they're also prepared with several kill switches which will enable us to turn the feature on and off per game mode and per map. This will enable us to react quickly should we find balance becoming an issue. We will be watching your feedback closely and we will be ready to act accordingly once the squad system goes live later this month. I think this brings up a very good point. I honestly don't know which maps and specific locations that this new spawn system and squad system will have issues, but I can imagine that some people will probably find a way to exploit the squad system to the point where they can easily win Galactic Assault matches simply by spawning on your friends. But it's very hard to judge this before actually using the squad system, so I'm simply glad that they do have kill switches in case it just goes really badly and they need to instantly remove it from the game in order to fix it. And lastly, before we wrap up the video, Ben did have a couple of interesting details out on Twitter that was not in the actual community transmission. First of all, when he got asked about the ping system and how some people still have issues, he did say that they do have some changes to the ping system coming in the September update, along with a host of other matchmaking tweaks and improvements. Yes, there will be another community transmission coming for that too. And that's something he has confirmed before, but I'm very curious to see what they will be saying in that actual community transmission, because matchmaking has been an issue in this game basically since the launch. So if they're willing to do a community transmission, that hopefully means that they have some significant stuff to talk about. And he also posted this image including 9 different community transmissions, including one for General Grievous. Very interesting indeed, but if you saw my video a couple of days ago, I did talk about the internal roadmap that he posted on Reddit, including all the different community transmissions that he wanted to make, such as for hero health cards, matchmaking, the squad system of course, and many other things. And lastly, before wrapping up the video, I wanted to bring something up that he also tweeted out, saying this is the first community transmission of this type where we look to break down upcoming content, features and talking points. A community transmission isn't just about an update is coming, it's a framework, if you will, for talking about things that we think you would find interesting. More to come. And I think this is really good, so if you have any feedback whatsoever to this, I would highly recommend you guys going either to Reddit or forums or to Ben's Twitter account to respond to these specific tweets, because I do think it helps a lot. I mean, it's a limit to how often they can release patches, and as of right now it seems to be at the end of each month, so the squad system will be arriving at the end of September. But if we can still get some community transmissions during the month to basically give us some details on what they're working on and future updates and more details on that before the actual game update is out, I highly welcome that. It's a lot better than basically having a month with no information whatsoever. So if you have any feedback on that, Reddit, the forums or Ben's Twitter account is the best place for that. But that brings this video to an end. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the force be with you.